Jinn seem to have always sort of been a part of my life in one way or another before I knew it or not. You know, even back to when I was 14 years old and I had, I guess, my sort of first Jinn experience. I was out with my brother and his friend. His friend was really into like black magic and ghosts and all this stuff. And he's like, let's go to this place called like Spirit Corner or something like that. So we went there, we were sitting down in a circle and he started doing like, I don't know, whatever, seance or chant or whatever. And I felt this feeling inside my chest, sort of where you think your soul might be, in the center of your chest. And it really scared me, but I didn't say anything, I just kept quiet. And he looked straight at me and said, "You need to leave." And I'm like, why? But I knew why, I could feel it. And he's like, something here doesn't like you, just leave, run. So I got up and I ran like as fast as I could away from there and straight back home. I never really thought about this again until almost a decade later. My revert story started back when I was about 21 years old and I was living in Malaysia. I had just moved into a new house and my best friend was over from Canada helping me move in. So we decided to have like a housewarming party, invite some friends over, have a barbecue, and we had all the doors open. Typical Malaysian houses, they'll have like the wooden swinging door and the glass sliding door at the front of the house. I'd taken my friends upstairs to see the house, see the rooms upstairs, and as we came out of one of the bedrooms, I heard a bang and I heard my dog bark downstairs. So I went downstairs and I saw my best friend and she just looked absolutely terrified. She was like pale white and just staring at the glass sliding door at the front of the house. And I asked her what had happened and she said my dog was walking towards the door and the glass door just slammed shut right in front of the dog. So, you know, logically, scientifically, that shouldn't happen. The wooden door would close if it was wind or something like that, but the glass door shouldn't do that. So we got kind of freaked out, locked up the house and just like went out and sort of forgot that it had ever happened. My best friend left. I was living in that house, and over the next couple of months, between sort of like February and March, things kept happening in the house, but I kept making excuses for them. So I would come home and something I had left over there was now over there. I'd just tell myself like, I forgot, I moved it. Or I'd hear something drop in my room and I'd look around and nothing had dropped, nothing had moved. So I thought maybe it's just the neighbor and I would just ignore it. And then one night I couldn't ignore what was happening. I came home, it was quite late, like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. I went to my bedroom, I put my dog in her bedroom, and I started to get ready for bed. I looked outside, sort of at the crack of my door, and I saw that the hallway light was still on outside. So I went outside to turn it off, and when I went outside, I felt that feeling that I had told you about in the beginning, when it happened to me when I was 14. Exact same feeling. The minute I felt it, I remembered that time. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't really hear anything, maybe something like white noise, which sounds like a bit like a fan, but very faint. And I felt this feeling, but I could feel like where this feeling was coming from, like the energy, where it was coming from. And I got really scared, so I just shut my door and I locked my door. And as I turned around to go to my bed, something hit the door so hard behind me, the whole door shook. And I just got terrified. My heart fell on the floor. I didn't know what to do because I couldn't see it. I couldn't fight it. I couldn't do anything. At this time, I was an atheist, a very strong atheist who used to tell my friends like they're crazy for believing that there's some man in the sky who's created everything. And, you know, I've been in many situations where like, you know, life or death, or you're like afraid. But I never thought to call on God or any kind of like deity in any of those sort of situations because I just didn't believe that it would help. But in that moment, my mind was totally blank except for one word, and that word was Allah. So against like sort of my normal reaction, I asked God, I asked Allah to help me. And I went to bed and I put something on the laptop to kind of like distract my mind. And I fell asleep so quickly, like abnormally quick for me. And I remember that night it rained so much. It like purified everything around me. And when I woke up, I sat on my bed and I made what would be my first dua. And I asked, well, first of all, I said, Allah, thank you if that was you who helped me and protected me from anything further last night. And if you want me to be Muslim, if you want me on this path, then you have to guide me, because nobody has been able to convince me that you exist before now. After that, I felt very interested in learning about Islam. I started asking the Muslims that I knew about the religion, about why they prayed, what they were afraid from, what does Allah want from us. And I started to beta test Islam in my life. Over the next few months, Allah started to prepare me to become Muslim, because my lifestyle was not Islamic at all before that. And I had a lot of things to change to get to a point where I can call myself a good Muslim, inshallah. So like I quit drinking, and I started to practice like implementing patience, for example, when I feel impatient, when I feel irritated, maybe in a traffic jam. And so I would say, you know, Allah loves patience and those who are patient, so like be patient. And then I would see like the situation changing. Probably about 6-7 months after that first incident, it was coming to be Ramadan. And all of my Muslim friends were very, very good Muslims in Ramadan. So I decided this is the time to see if I can be Muslim or not. Because for my personality, I don't do things halfway. I like to do them all the way or not at all. And I didn't want to be a Ramadan Muslim. I didn't want to only practice Islam during 1 month of the year. So if I was going to do it, I was going to do it all year. So I needed to know, can I be this? Can I fulfill all the duties of a Muslim? So I started fasting from the first day of Ramadan. I read a chapter or juz of the Quran every day. I put on a hijab during that month, and I learned to pray. And it was very difficult learning how to pray and putting the papers in front of you. And I was completely on my own, so I didn't really have anyone in that month to guide me except Allah, which is quite suiting, because from the beginning, the whole journey was kind of just me and Allah. And so it was coming to be the middle of Ramadan, and I'd been fasting the whole month, and I'd been praying the whole month and reading the Quran. You know, I was about 15 juz in, and I kept reading about myself, you know, the blind and the deaf who are exposed to the truth. They know it's the truth, but their arrogance turns them away. And it was one night at Isha prayer, I thought to myself, if I died tonight, I'm not going to Jannah. I'm one of these people that Allah keeps warning us about. So I Googled, how do you say your Shahada in English? And I sat there on my prayer mat after Isha prayer, and I said my Shahada between me and Allah.